It was a big weekend in National 2 North, wasn't it, at both ends of the table? And it felt exactly the same in National 2 East, not least at Barnes, where league leaders Tonbridge Juddians were the visitors. And not for the first time this season, a late Duncan Tout try and a Tom White conversion saw TJ's clinch a 26-25 win as they maintained their perfect record to start this season. It's now 9 wins from 9 and 45 points from 45 for Jordan Turner Hall and Seb Sherwood's side. So their fabulous start to this season continued in round 9. And Dorking are now their nearest challengers towards the top of the table, after Henley Hawks defeated Guernsey Raiders 26-15 at Dry Lees. Guernsey began the day in second spot, but now Dorking are the occupants of the silver medal position after the Raiders were defeated by Henley in round 9. And in terms of Henley, it's now 4 wins in a row for Luke Allen's side, who are up to 5th in the standings after this latest victory. And they also play 3 of their fellow top 6 teams between now and Christmas. So the Hawks are moving themselves into a good position towards those top places in National 2 East. At the other end of the table, though, it was heartbreak for Colchester. They, of course, parted ways with head coach Craig Burrows during the break in the season, and interim boss Maggie Hayward, the former Northampton Saint, has now taken charge, and he was minutes away from leading his side to a first win of the season. Tom Hope's converted try 5 minutes from time looked to have won it against 7th place Westcombe Park, but Harry Hudson's score snatched a 39-36 victory for the hosts. But nevertheless, some huge positives for Colchester to take heading into a big couple of weeks for the club. So just have a look at the table briefly then. The 2 bonus points that Colchester were able to pick up from that defeat against Westcombe Park leaves them 4 points behind 12th place Sevenoaks, who they incidentally face this weekend. At the top, TJs are 4 points clear of second place Dorking, but Dorking are breathing down their necks after picking up their 8th straight win in round 9 after they saw off Sevenoaks 50-26. And it is towards the top where we focus on our second featured club of the week on the National League Rugby preview show, in the shape of league leaders Tonbridge Juddians. As we've said, TJs are in immaculate form at the moment, aren't they? 9 wins from 9, 45 points from 45, and it's only Lynn in National 2 North who can boast an unblemished record across National League Rugby, as well as Tonbridge Juddians. Last season, TJs finished 5th in the league standings, 28 points behind eventual champions Esher. But what has been noticeable, certainly across this calendar year, is the progress Tonbridge Juddians have been able to make. I think it's 17 wins from their 22 games in 2024, which is a very strong statistic, and promoting from within and developing their own players has been seen as a factor in this internally by Tonbridge Juddians. So we caught up with TJ's chairman, Darren Grasby, to find out more about the culture of the club, and of course we discussed their superb start to this campaign.
No, look, I mean, you can only say what a fantastic start, 9 from 9. It's been an amazing start to the season. Look, it's a fantastic league, very, very close games, and, winning, right at the death there against Barnes, and we also did the same thing against Guernsey. It's a testament to the quality of the rugby. For us, look, what's really pleasing for us is that we're blooding those youngsters that are coming up through our academy system as well. Look, Isaac played in the second row, 18 years of age, played all 80 minutes against Barnes. He was our academy captain last year, so that conveyor belt that we're bringing up, and there was actually 6 lads in that starting side on Saturday that have come through our academy system. So that's truly pleasing, and it's that foundational sort of work that we're doing there that just makes sure that when we go up, or when we stay in the top half of this league or go into Nat 1, let's see where it takes us. But it's that academy and that conveyor belt's very important.
Yeah, and just to pick out a couple of points from that, Darren, in terms of kind of, having that foundation behind you, is that maybe why we've seen Tonbridge Juddians, certainly over the last maybe 18 months or so, do take those steps forward? Because But it was noticeable from my point of view at the start of this calendar year that I think you guys won 8 of your first 10 games or something like that at the start of 2024. That has obviously filtered into this fantastic start you've had with 9 wins from 9s, but it isn't getting the foundations right first, allowing you to take those forward steps.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, it's like any rugby side. You have to strengthen it up. You're not going to survive at this level of rugby by having blooding all of your kids that are coming out the academy, or in some cases still playing academy. But you need that sort of mix of youth and a little bit of experience that you bring in, and you also need the nous around the coaching team. Jordan's done a great job. You mentioned the sort of the back end of last season and the sort of the winning streak we went on there, bringing it into this season. Winning's a habit, and it's as simple as that. Once you've got the confidence in the side and the stability, the group of players we have, it's not a massive group of players, but they're very, very tight knit. That's a bit of Jordan's ethos around very tight knit. He's just brought that sort of character to the club as well, which is very important, very, very important. But I think for me, the biggest thing is just having that belief. Jordan has simplified the styles that we play with. He plays a very expansive game. You've all watched it on the videos. We like to sling the ball around, so which is fantastic, and that's now sort of coming through, and that stability. But player retention for us at the club is something we spend a lot of time, and we make sure that that's the whole experience for players, and whether they're internally grown or externally coming in, that experience is first class. We're a family-run club, really, and and I think that shows on that player retention that we've had.
Obviously, we're talking about the first team and the fantastic start that you guys have had at the weekend, building up to the game against Old Albania on Saturday. But you told me off air it's going to be a little bit of a busy weekend for you guys as a whole club. Can you tell us a little bit of why about that might be?
Oh, for sure. Look, I mean, we set our academy up about, I don't know, it must have been about 12 or 13 years ago, where we put our 16 and 18s together. And through that journey, they've won the National Cup 4 times. I think we're the only club outside of Premiership that's done that, and Championship that's done that. So we put a lot of emphasis into that academy. So our lads are playing against Seven Oaks, 1 o'clock Sunday down at TJ's, big game. We'll have the barbecues and a few inflatables out, so a bit of fun. But equally as importantly, we've got our under 16 girls, brand new, put into the academy this year. They've got their first ever National Cup game as well at 11:30 on Sunday. So you've got that going on. You've got under 16 girls, under 18 boys, but you've also got under 16s, under 14 boys, all in their Kent tournaments. So we'll have somewhere in the region of about 800 people playing rugby down at TJ's on Sunday, from the sort of the tots of under 4s all the way through to the under 18s at 1 o'clock kickoff against Seven Oaks. I think the biggest thing for me is staying true to what we say we're going to do. I think the fact that we've got consistency on player retention, I think the fact that a 14 or 13-year-old kid can see the route and the pathway through to a first team game of rugby at TJ's, I think that's very, very important. And I just think generally, as a club, we've upped our social media exposure a little bit more. So we've invested there a little bit. But I still maintain, I think for the biggest area for me is making sure that you've got the right group of coaches at the right pivotal points of a rugby player's career. And as you come out the top of the mini sections, going into those sort of junior sections, those 13, 14-year-olds at a really pivotal point, and we have to make sure that the coaching's good. But certainly when you go into that academy, 16 to 18-year-olds, it's been an area we've invested a lot over the years, because that's where people drop out the game. And if they have a great experience going through that academy, you'll get to keep. Our second team that's playing at the moment is 95% ex-academy, to give you an idea. And so that for me is just those sort of pathways through, and just making sure they get the experience.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting point, just to bring you back to the first team, Darren, you make about having, the right coaches in place. And I guess when you have somebody like Jordan, who I know was, you correct me if I'm wrong with this, Darren, was kind of in and around the coaching setup towards around this time last year, but then kind of took on the director of rugby role, didn't he, at the start of 2024. But to have someone of his experience who, again, understands an academy system, given his role with Harlequins, must go, hand in hand with what you want to do at TJ's, if that's right.
That's totally it. And if you look at the coaching team we've got now, our backs coach is actually Tom White. He's player coach at the moment, and I'm a great proponent of that because you bring that experience of someone like Tom White to the coaching team. Huge. And then you've got Seb on the other side. Seb up there, he's been in there coaching around with us now for a couple of years. The guy's a machine, does a fantastic job in terms of the stats and everything else. He can tell you what blade of grass players have run on for the course of a game. And then, with the forwards, you've got George. He took a bit of a sabbatical, which has come back. And then you've just got the wise old Al Danks. I think everyone on this TV, on this channel here will smile when I say that. The guy's been around National League Rugby for about 25, 30 years. So he kind of knows what he's doing as well. But he's there more as an advisory role. To your point, Jordan brings that freshness, right? He's been in and around it, and to your point, his work at the academy, he was working on obviously the defence for a while as well at Queen's. So he brings that freshness and the latest what's going on in and around Premiership rugby. And I think that's very important.
And just a couple more from me, Darren, in terms of the wider picture. Obviously, 45 points from 45 points and 9 wins from 9. So it's going to get to kind of people talking and think, is this going to be, Tonbridge Juddians this year to maybe get back in international one? But where was the dial at the start of the season for you, Darren? And has that changed at all, given the start that you have made?
No, it hasn't changed, and the narrative hasn't changed either. I mean, if anything, it's focused us a little bit more because when you're 9 out of 9, every Saturday's a cup final because someone wants to take your scalp. So in many ways, people are playing above where they probably normally would because they want the scalp, and that's going to make it incredibly difficult as you go through the season. Dorking are a very good side. But Barnes are a fantastic side. I mean, and again, when I was chatting to their chairman on Saturday, they've lost 3 games in the last, 90 seconds or whatever it is. So if that had gone a different way, that would have been a completely different league that we're looking at. So has it changed? No. We set our stall out, during the summer, which was we want to be a sustainable mid-nat 1 club. If that happens through the back end of this season, going into next season, so be it. But that was the goal, and that's where we're heading towards, and that's what we're building towards. Look, I was with Jordan yesterday, and him and I were just sort of chatting around a few things, and look, we beat Dorking at home, we beat Canterbury at our place, and we beat Guernsey at our place. We've got to go to it, So that's very difficult to go and win at Dorking's hard. To go over to Guernsey and win's very hard. We know that from bitter experience. You've got to go to Henley. Henley's a hard place to win away, very hard place to win away. So, look, there's lots of banana skins out there. There's lots of games to go still, which is why, look, guys, just stay grounded.
So many thanks to Darren for his time earlier this week, only a couple of years ago. For those who can remember, Tonbridge Juddians were a National 1 side, and they are putting all the right things in place to potentially reach that level again. Whether that comes this season, we'll have to wait and see. But they made a really strong start to this campaign, haven't they, Tonbridge Juddians? And as Darren mentioned, it is set to be a busy weekend at the Slade, of course, with the first 15 in action against Old Albanian on Saturday. But TJ's also have their very own Super Sunday on Sunday with both the Academy under-16 girls and their Academy Colts in action in the National Cup. So why not make a full weekend of it, a double header at Tonbridge Juddians across the course of Saturday and Sunday. On Sunday, it is absolutely free to attend the club, so it sounds like a perfect way to spend your rugby weekend. So on to the rest of the games then in National 2 East in round 10, where 4th place Barnes will be looking to get back on the horse against Westcombe Park, who, as we said before, got back to winning ways in dramatic fashion in round 9. Canterbury were at their free-flowing best last time out as they ran in 7 tries to beat Old Albanian 54-17 away from home. The City men entertained Bury St Edmunds on Saturday. 3rd place Guernsey are back at Fortress Foots Lane, aiming to extend their winning home run against Oxford Harlequins, who will board the plane to the Channel Island after picking up their 2nd win of the season in round 9, thanks to a 34-20 success over Worthing. Havant were involved in arguably the comeback of the season so far. Last time out, they were 30-12 down at half-time against Bury St Edmunds, but scored 7 second-half tries away from home to win 53-49 and are now going for a third win in a row, but that won't be easy against an in-form Henley. As we touched on, a big weekend for Colchester and indeed Sevenoaks, with 2 of the bottom 3 meeting at Noel Paddock. TJs, as we said, welcome Old Albanian to the Slade aways and without a win in 3, so could they rip up the form guide in round 10? And a winless Worthing side face a tricky test at home against second place Dorking, who are gunning for a 9th successive victory.